Hi, my name is Ray Fuentes. I'm the Red Shoe Broker. And today we are going to see Erika Taylor, Dr. Erika Taylor. Erika, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks, Ray. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you. I have a little bit of an issue with my PowerPoint, but it's doing okay now. So Erika and I met at a national networking event online called the Three Martini Lunch. And that is created and hosted by Rockstar Connect. I host the Roseville version of Rockstar Connect here in California. But Erika's not in California. In fact, most of the people I interview are local. Erika, where are you from?
I am in Washington, D.C. I've lived here for about 2 decades now.
Wow, so about 2,000 miles away. That's awesome. When we first met, you sent me an email. We were talking a little bit, and you have an interesting story about where you grew up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. When I was about 2, my parents, I'm the oldest of 2. My parents and I moved to a small town in southern New Jersey, about 15 miles from Philadelphia, called Lawnside. It's a little tiny town. It's about 7 square miles, less than 3,000 people. And the interesting thing about it, besides the fact that it's that small, is that it's actually historically African-American town. That used to be a stop on the Underground Railroad. The land was given to freed slaves by a Quaker woman who founded the town next door. Her name is Elizabeth Haddon, and the town is Haddonfield. And folks have been there ever since. So it was a great place for us to grow up. Everyone knows everyone. A lot of people have related. They've been there for generations. Someone that I went to kindergarten with lives across the street with her children, lives across the street from my parents.
Right.
With her children. So it's one of those places that people kind of stay and raise their kids, and their kids raise their kids, and so on. So that's where I grew up.
2 things. One, people that know me know that I was in the military and my father was in the military, and I've been all over. So I didn't really have a true hometown until I got out of the regular Air Force here in California. I wound up in the Sacramento area. But what took you from New Jersey to Washington, D.C.?
Thank you for your service, by the way. What took me from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. So, as an adult, as a grown-up, I can appreciate small town life and everyone knowing everyone. At the time, I couldn't wait to get out. And it wasn't because I didn't, appreciate my friends and appreciate the people there, but I just kind of wanted to experience something different. So I applied to a number of schools, none of which were in New Jersey. Most of them were in the Maryland and DC area in Virginia, and I chose Howard University ultimately. So that's how I ended up in DC.
So I didn't know that, and that's kind of interesting because my parents retired in Germany.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted me to go. There's an American school there. I think is it University of Maryland, I think is what it is. And they wanted me to go to college there in Germany and stay there. I'm like, nope, I've been here for a long time now, all through high school. Everybody moves about every 3 or 4 years when you're in the military. I went to Germany, went to high school. Most people leave in 3 years. I started high school there and I ended high school there, and most people don't. So most of my friends, for example, my friend Troy, that's the editor here, he moved when we were juniors. And so he went back to the States and graduated from high school here in the United States. I stayed through graduation, but all my friends that graduated with me left right after graduation. So I'm pretty much like the only high school kid left. I couldn't wait to go. And I wound up, I grew up in Virginia in a town called Newport News. And I did not want to go to school there. I didn't know anybody there. My sister lived there, but I applied to every school under the sun except in Virginia. Anyway, so I really appreciate your statement about saying, getting out of a small town. So you've been you went to Howard University, you're in Washington, D.C., and you're a doctor. Tell us, what kind of doctor are you?
I have a doctoral degrees in education and psychology. I went to the University of Michigan, the combined program in education and psychology, straight out of undergrad, which
Wow.
people don't do. Yes, I not necessarily sure I recommend that, but it worked out for me. But that's where I got my degrees.
From there, you went into research?
From there, yeah, I realized while I was there that research was the thing that really that I was super duper interested in. So I went rogue, and instead of doing academic track and becoming a professor, I chose to do strictly research. When I came out, I took a job at the American Institutes for Research in Washington, D.C. So I came back to the D.C. area and did consulting for a number of years with a few different firms and in different environments. Moved around a little bit, did different things, even worked in public health for a little bit, went back to education, and finally settled 7 years ago at the National Education Association.
So the education system, the way we have it right now, a lot of kids, from what I understand, are going to be doing what you and I are doing right now. They're learning online.
Oh yeah, they are.
So yeah, so I can see that working for maybe high school kids.
Right.
But I mean, what, if you don't mind my asking, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that it is not necessarily the best scenario for anyone because at least in the way we teach here, at least the way education is sort of structured here, there's a social element, there's a social aspect, and that is missing. And I know a lot of kids are missing their friends right now, and at least interacting with other people that they're not able to interact with. On top of that, teachers aren't just sort of shoving information into kids' ears and hoping that it stays in between there. They tend to develop relationships with these students, and they are missing that element too. So it sort of, the experience, the overall educational experience is definitely missing something without in-person instruction. But that said, keeping people safe should be our priority right now.
Absolutely,
so if that's what we have to do to keep people safe, then we do what we have to do. But no one likes it. A number of folks that I've talked to informally, friends of mine who are teachers, miss their kids. They don't necessarily, they want to have that connection. They want to have those interactions with them personally. And that's the way they're used to teaching, and they're not able to do it that way. And it's tough for them too. So
I was thinking that it's probably harder for the teachers than in terms of, changing the processes that they're going through, more than the students, because kids are pretty, adaptable.
Right.
And not that teachers can't adapt, but I mean, this is a very big change for that type of environment. I agree with you. The interaction is probably one of the most important things in the education process. Kids, I'm generalizing. Kids learn pretty much everything they need to learn pretty young. By the time they get to high school, I think this is just my opinion, I think they're learning how to learn better, finally. Whether they go to college or get a job, it's not that math and reading isn't important, but the application, I guess, of that knowledge is truly important. I'm not sure how they're going to accomplish some of these educational goals in the near future. Hopefully, we can have this all resolved in a safe manner. So anyway, thanks for sharing. Do you have kids? Do you have kids in school?
No babies, no.
No, my youngest daughter is in her last semester of college.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. So she is, we were just talking, she's trying to stay away from the campus as much as possible, doing online for safety reasons.
I'm sure. Where does she go?
So there's a school here called William Jessup. It's in Rockland. Are you familiar with William Jessup?
I'm not familiar with the school. I'm familiar with the name.
Oh, okay. So it's I guess a Christian-based school. It has a great nursing program, from what I've heard. Sydney's in business administration, so that's what she's studying.
Great, that's exciting.
Interview with a rock star is usually with business owners and entrepreneurs, but you're in the research industry. Tell me a little bit. But I know you have a business. Tell me a little bit about what you do in your business.
We basically take what we call essential services. So services that we use every single day, like energy, home security and automation, television, those kinds of services, things that people would rather not do without or can't do without. And we create residual income with them. And we also have a partnership with Feeding America. So we end up feeding hungry children as well. That's super vague in a nutshell. But I'm sure that you're familiar with, people who sort of just want to make a change or just have more bills than money and want to create additional streams of income for themselves. And so we show people how to do that through the services that they use every day. They share that with their friends and are able to create income that might just, it's amazing because the smallest amount of income can be life-changing, right? For $400 could be absolutely a month could be life-changing for people. So, we create businesses that allow, either small amounts of money, large amounts of money, it depends on what you choose to do. And we help people realize their dreams and determine what they'd like to do with their lives.
So one of the things that's interesting, I'm sure you know I'm a real estate agent. I'm a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned essential services. Now, you're not talking about police and fire and that. You're talking about essential home services.
Correct. We're talking,
right.
And I should have been specific.
No, I knew exactly. And you did. You said, phone, electricity, and all that. The reason
Right.
I think that's important I stress that is because when people move, I literally have to remind them to turn power on at their new house and turn the power off at their old house because they think the company's going to know that they moved. Things like power, gas, regular utilities, internet services, television services, and that's basically what you're helping people do. Get a better control of their services and possibly make it easier when they move.
Exactly.
And they can get paid for that.
They can get paid for that, yes, and they can show other people how to do it. And we also do business services as well. So for those people who have small businesses, they can actually create an additional stream of income from bills that they would be paying anyway.
Wow, very cool.
Super
okay.
Cool.
Is there anything else you can share?
Absolutely. We have a partnership with Feeding America, as I mentioned earlier. And so whenever people become customers, either whether they're own customers or bring customers on, when the people pay their bills, they're providing a meal for a hungry child. So every time a service is connected, a child is fed. And we've fed millions of children over the past several years. We provided millions of meals for children over the past several years through that partnership. So we're very proud of that. And we're very proud of the other community connections that we have as well. One thing that I can say about the company that I'm partnered with is that we work hard, but we also give back to the community as much as possible, whether it's through things that are initiatives through the company, and even business partners have their own things that they're doing within the community. So that's an important part of what we do.
And that's interesting because we frequently hear people, in social media or whatever, that such and such a company is doing this, so we're not going to go and use their services anymore. I'm sure you've heard that, they boycott a company for one reason or another.
Right.
And we hear that a lot. Let's boycott that company. And what I find interesting is rarely do we find as individuals, I'll say it that way, as individuals, rarely do we say, you know what, I want to support an organization that is supporting my community, like yours.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I would like to see more of that. I would like to see, hey, you know what? I'm all about helping, feed hungry kids, and Dr. Taylor's the person to talk to in her company if you need services. And by the way, it's more of a positive aspect of it. So thanks for sharing that. That's pretty cool.
My pleasure. And I think that's an interesting observation that you had. And I would love to help people get connected and, get them to contribute to the community as well, or to their own communities as well in any way.
Okay. Well, to get a hold of Erika, we have her phone number here and her email. Erika's on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Twitter, so you can follow her there. For those of you who've been watching, you may have noticed that my background here is a little different on the screen. That's the city of Sacramento. I'm pretty excited about that.
Great.
Just personally, I mean, I've been using a brick wall for such a long time that having a view of something seems maybe more appropriate now. I feel like a real talk show host or something. And of course, my name's Ray Fuentes. I'm with Fathom Realty Group. I'm a broker associate, the Red Shoe Broker. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and on YouTube. Thank you, Erika, so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and wish you all the best.
Well, thank you so much, and it's my pleasure. I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Thank you. And for those of you, again, just I have to throw this out. If you're looking to meet people around the nation and how you can support small businesses, check out the Three Martini Lunch. Broker Ray out. Thank you, Erika.
All right, my pleasure.